Recently, I played through the entirety of Mario plus Rabbids story without using each character's main weapon a single time, and you should go watch that if you haven't. But during that video, I decided to skip over the challenge levels of the game. After completing each chapter, 10 challenges and 2 ultra challenges get unlocked for that world. Each of these challenges uses the maps from the chapter in completely new ways. Levels that used to be just a simple reach the goal level now requires you to defeat like 10 enemies in a single turn, or levels where you needed to defeat a bunch of enemies now requires you to escort a toad to the goal. While the base game was fun and required a lot of strategy to complete without primary weapons, the challenge levels, well, they are where the challenge actually starts. And just a reminder of what this challenge is, because a lot of people didn't listen to what the challenge was in the last video. So jingle jingle, the no shooting is just because it makes way more sense as a title. The main rules of the challenge are that I'm not allowed to use any primary weapons, and I cannot use anything that uses primary weapons, such as the hero sight ability. So as a reminder, bazookas are allowed. Now, some of the challenges are pretty easy all things considered, so I'll be skimming over a few of them here and there, but most of them are interesting and require a lot of strategic play to do without shooting my primary weapons. So let's get right into it. Challenge 1-1 is simple. I have to kill 14 enemies in 3 turns. And as we know from my last video, Rabbid Mario is really good at dealing damage to large groups of enemies. And since the enemies in this fight are all grouped together, between Rabbid Mario and Rabbid Peach, they can just dash between all the enemies in just 2 turns. 1-2 is an escort level, but with the help of Luigi to speed up Toad and Rabbid Peach to play defense, we're able to get to the end. It is definitely a little spooky whenever 5 smashers pop out of the ground, but Mario is able to hammer all 5 at once to clear the path for Toad. 1-3 is a reach the area mission, where the enemies have a 100% chance to hit their super effect. Basically, every one of these reach the area challenges involves enemies having a 100% super chance. But also, with maxed out movement on all of my guys, I can literally just launch my guys around to allow Luigi to jump off of someone to get to the goal. In 1-4, I can basically finish the entire fight with just Rabbid Peach's dash, but I do use Mario's stomp to finish off the smasher. And in 1-5, I kinda just do the same. But 1-6 is kind of insane looking at first glance. 3 turns to defeat 6 enemies, and 2 of the enemies are Parabid plants. And you know how I feel about Parabid plants. So defeating these guys in 3 turns seems pretty bad. But thankfully, those Parabids are basically just decoration, as there are 8 enemies that are part of this fight. So by magnet dancing all of them to me, Rabbid Mario can dash into 3 of the smashers, and Peach can then finish off the other 3 by dashing into them as well. And then Mario and Rabbid Mario simply take out the other 2. 1-7 is really funny because it gives us 10 turns to kill 5 enemies, with 3 of them being Parabids immediately once the fight starts. But like, it's really easy because there are chain chomps that do a gazillion damage every turn to help us out. It takes no time at all. But with the easy levels out of the way, let's talk about 1-8. This is another escort mission, where we have to get Toad from one end of this map to the other. This will take Toad a total of about 6 to wait a second, no, I'm not gonna say it. Probably somewhere between like 6 to 8 turns to reach the goal. Anyway, this isn't actually how many turns it will end up taking because Luigi can use his itchy feet a couple times, and that'll help Toad get a little boost to his speed, which is really helpful to get him ahead of where enemies spawn in this level. Although from what I've heard, I think they actually spawn based on how far Toad is in the level, at least on one of the challenges, but that's going to be in my next video about ultimate challenges. Yeah, those are going to be their own video because they were a lot on their own, so subscribe if you want to see those whenever I finish that video. Anyway, this challenge took me like 4 attempts to do, but I finally figured out what was happening. Many of these challenges require me to swap my abilities around to be very specific sets with the amount of orbs that I had. So for this one, I give Mario a bit more health and max out the range on everyone that I can. Keep in mind that I got way better at this game as I played through it. Like, way better. The strategies I was attempting to employ early on just tended to fail more often than not, and would require many attempts to do on levels that were on the harder side. As I slowly progress through the game, I do end up getting stronger, but also much smarter with my plays. But right now, I'm kinda weak, and I'm kinda stupid. Anyway, in this level, to complete it, it requires me to be very strategic with the placement of my characters to force enemies to not attack Toad and instead attack my party. Especially enemies like this Buckler, as they have the ability to guarantee super effects, and their super effect is Honey, which makes it really bad for Toad to move forward. Thankfully, even though Toad does get hit by a long-range shotgun hit that honeys him, I'm able to send Mario up to take out that guy, and then after a couple more turns, Toad is able to make it to the end after like 5 attempts of this level. 1-9 is hilariously easy and requires literally no discussion. I beat it in 2 turns when the turn limit was 3, so yeah, super easy. 1-10 is even easier. This level requires me to reach 3 tiles in a single turn, and I'm able to have Rabbid Peach jump into the first one, Mario jump off of Peach and then off of a Ziggy to get into the second, and Luigi just lands in the third. Next are the 2 ultra hard challenges. 1-Secret 1 is a level that requires me to defeat every single enemy in a single turn. This is shockingly difficult, as all the enemies are very spread out, but it is still possible without primaries. Rabbid Peach is incredibly strong here, as she can dash into so many enemies. I start by having Mario jump over to the Smashers and hit them with the hammer, and after boosting Rabbid Peach's movement with Luigi, I have her dash into all the other guys on the ground level, one-shotting them all with her very high damage dash, and then hit the group of 3 Rabbids with a sentry. Then, Luigi is able to run up and get just in range to allow his sentry to take out the remaining 2 guys on the top level. 1-Secret 2 is another escort mission, but it is much harder than any we've seen so far. Toad starts far away from the rest of my party and is surrounded by Smashers. By the way, I plan on just showing the winning attempt for almost all of these challenges, and this one is no exception. I don't want to waste time by showing failed attempts. I start out by sending in the GOAT Rabbid Mario to dash into the Smashers and then magnet dance them all together so I can just kill them with a hammer. But before I hit them with the hammer, I bring Luigi down there so that he can boost Toad's movement range to allow Toad to get out of the range of Rabbid Mario's hammer and into the pipe. Then I'm able to get Toad a little bit further through on my next turn, and I make sure to defeat all the enemies in his path to make sure he doesn't die. Toad does take a hit from a Smasher on the next turn, which sucks, but he's still at 140 health, so it's alright. I move Toad down to the final zone of this level, but he is forced to be out in the open. Because of this, I made sure to put Rabbid Mario in a spot where all of the Smashers will go after him instead. Toad does take a lot of damage from the enemies that are in this final zone though, and he gets down to 40 HP. But with him alive, I'm able to continue on. Now, I want to kill the 2 jumpers in the final zone with Luigi's Sentry, but no matter what I do, it doesn't go at an angle that works to kill them both. So instead, I kill all the Smashers with Rabbid Mario and move him near the 2 jumpers in the last zone so that I can kill them with them. The issue is, I used Rabbid Mario's hammer on the last turn, so I can't actually use him to kill the jumpers. But with him being in this exact spot, it changes the way that Luigi's Sentry goes, and the Sentry is able to move into a spot that hits both of these jumpers and is able to kill them both. But this still leaves the issue of there being 2 enemies that are about to spawn, and Toad is still out in the open. With Toad's limited movement, he can't really get anywhere that he would be safe, and even with Luigi's itchy feet, he can only reach the sides of the full blocks down here. He isn't even able to get to a spot that is fully behind cover, so he can still get hit from the sides. But at this point, I had really figured out how the enemy AI works, and I use that knowledge incredibly well here. Enemies refuse to attack from a tile without cover unless there are literally no locations to get cover in their movement range. Because of this, I can actually completely manipulate how the enemies act this next turn. By putting Toad in this specific spot, he is actually not able to be shot by the enemies coming out of the ground, as the only way to hit him would require the enemies to be completely out in the open, which they will never do because there is cover around them. And because they can't get a clear shot on Toad, they will always prefer to attack my 2 allies that are out in the open, even though they could easily destroy the cover that Toad is behind. While Mario does end up dying, having Toad here allows him to be past the final line of enemies that spawn during this level. There are 6 Smashers that spawn and completely block the path on this turn. If I hadn't gotten Toad to where he is, I would basically have to kill every Smasher this turn to keep Toad safe, but because I was able to get him just past the line, I don't have to worry about them. On this turn, Toad is able to get to the final set of cover, and I take out some guys with Rabbid Mario. And since I'm able to get both Luigi and Toad out of the Smasher's range, they all go after Rabbid Mario instead. 2 of the Smashers even kill each other. But it's too late for them, so after moving Luigi out of the way, I'm able to reach the end with Toad. And that brings us to World 2. 2-1 is really interesting, as it does something that I hadn't seen up to this point. It had the enemies take their turn first, much like that one Paper Mario challenge I did. Because of this, I take a lot of damage and also get hit by freezes and burns a lot. But since none of my guys actually die, it's like surprisingly easy to have Rabbid Mario kill 2 of the guys by dashing into them, take another out with a hammer, and then Luigi finishes off the last guy with a sentry. Now, 2-2 is another reach the area level with 3 areas that we need to reach. These areas are really spread out, so it's gonna be really hard to reach them all. I mean, it's a 4-turn challenge, like, it's gonna be super hard. Oh, wait, it's already done? Man, Luigi's broken. 2-3 simply involves killing all the enemies, and that can be done very quickly by using Rabbid Mario. I mean, on his first turn, he takes out 6 of the enemies all on his own, leaving only 4 left for my other characters to kill. Mario gets 2 more before the turn ends, and then after a couple more turns of moving towards the enemies, I'm able to kill the last 2. The next challenge is on the exact same map as before, but it is now a reach the area mission that takes 1 turn. But as we know, 1 turn reach the area missions are very easy with Luigi. So anyway, Challenge 2-5 is another Toad escort mission. These escort missions are basically the only ones that force me to worry about the turn count a little bit, as I have a really slow Toad to worry about. But as always, Rabbid Mario is really good. I can move him pretty far down into the enemies, and with his magnet dance, I can pull almost every enemy on the floor towards me, allowing me to kill almost all of them with just Rabbid Mario. Then, Mario can kill another with a stomp, and Luigi can hit another with his sentry. But from this point on, no one spawns that causes Toad any issues, because even when 2 enemies are about to spawn right next to Toad, by boosting him with Itchy Feet, he can reach the goal before they ever get a chance to attack. 2-6 requires me to kill every enemy in a single turn, and this is the first time that I truly feel the lack of primary weapons. This is due to the fact that, as I said before, the enemies get to go before the turn ends. This tends to be really helpful when you have access to your primary weapons, as I can use the Hero Sight abilities to do damage even on the enemy's turn. It's generally expected for you to have this Hero Sight to be able to get through some of these later challenges. Thankfully, after a few attempts, I do find this challenge to still be possible due to there being chain chomps that just do a little bit of extra damage to the enemies. Now, I'll be 100% honest. The next 2 levels are hilariously easy. 2-7 requires me to defeat 4 enemies in a single turn, which I do very easily. 2-8 requires me to reach an area within 3 turns. And so after killing 2 guys with Luigi's Sentry and hiding him for a turn so that he doesn't take damage, I can then just get him to the goal on the second turn. Now, one of the hardest challenges of this world was 2-9. It involves escorting Toad to the goal over the course of 10 turns. This is the highest turn count we've had so far, meaning we have to take Toad further than we've ever taken him. But the funny thing about this level is that there isn't actually a single enemy in it. The only thing to deal with are the 5 chain chomps throughout the stage. So instead of being an escort level where I kill a bunch of enemies to clear the path, I have to instead act as a matador to allow Toad to pass by the chain chomps unscathed. This means that for the first time since obtaining her, Princess Peach is optimal. Since she has the most health and can heal with every team jump, it doesn't matter if she's not very good offensively because we don't need that, so she is very good in this level. I do have to be very particular with where I place my guys, because if I place them in the wrong location, the chain chomps can block Toad's path, making Toad unable to pass. But by baiting the chain chomps to the side, I can get Toad to the end in only 7 turns. Now on to 2-10. This one is called Mid-Boss Mayhem, in reference to the best song in the soundtrack. But even after letting Rabbid Peach accidentally blow herself up, I still beat the challenge in record time with help from Mario and Luigi. Now on to the secret challenges. 2-Secret 1 is surprisingly difficult for a challenge that seems so easy on the surface. It's a reach the area level that you have to do in 1 turn. Now these have been historically easy, but this time I actually have to think about it. This is because there are 6 areas that I must reach, meaning that each of my characters has to somehow be in 2 spots by the end of the turn. But this seems impossible at first glance since, you have to stand in a space for it to count as reached. You can't simply just run through it. So how do I reach all 6 locations if I have to use my movement to stand at 3 of them? Well, that's what I was trying to figure out for 15 minutes. Like I've said before, these kinds of challenges give the enemies a 100% super chance, meaning that I will always be launched by them. With this in mind, I was able to figure out a solution, but I did this way different than the intended solution. At the start, I use Rabbid Yoshi to make everyone run away, and then move Peach to this spot and attack the nearby smasher. This causes him to hit both Peach and Mario. This knocks Mario into one of the areas and Peach into another. Then Mario can jump off of Peach into one of the final zones, and Rabbid Yoshi stands in a spot that is in one of the remaining zones, and then causes the smasher to launch him into the final zone. Now we move on to 2-Secret 2, and this one was hard to figure out. The challenge starts with Mario completely surrounded by a bunch of bucklers who can one-shot him. Rabbid Mario has 4 smashers next to him, and Rabbid Peach is just kind of in a spot far away. I start the level by dashing through one of the bucklers to get Mario out of the middle of all of them, and then I have him kill the 3 he is next to. Then, I have Rabbid Mario magnet dance all the smashers nearby so that he can dash into all of them to kill them. Finally, on this turn, Rabbid Peach kills 3 of the bucklers at the bottom. I then dash into all the smashers by Peach and put her in range of the bucklers at the bottom so they won't all target Mario on their turn, instead having only 3 of them doing so. This also puts Peach just out of the range of the smashers' movement, so she won't take damage from them. All of the enemies take their turns, and the bucklers get their guaranteed super buff, meaning that getting honeyed is guaranteed. But after I take a ton of damage from all the bucklers, I'm able to then move Rabbid Mario into the crowd to kill the rest of the bucklers with his hammer attack. Then after moving Mario towards the enemies, one of the smashers comes in and kills one of the other smashers. And then Peach can just go in and dash into 2 of the guys, and then use a sentry to kill one of the 3 remaining. Finally, Mario can finish off the last smasher with a hammer. And so ends World 2. Now for World 3, I honestly don't really know what's happening on this first challenge. 3-1 is a reach the area level that gives us 3 turns to complete it. I guess the difficulty stems from the fact that the enemies have 100% super effects and can knock us around. But with Luigi's movement range, I can just put myself in the perfect spot to have a smasher hit him and launch him close enough to Mario so that Mario can then team jump directly into the goal in a single turn. I swear, almost every single one of these reach the area missions can be done very easily in a single turn. 3-2 is another reach the area level, but it actually requires a more thoughtful process because there are 5 areas I must reach in one turn. But it doesn't require that much thought because the game kinda tells you where you need to stand. There's a tornado on the map which, after I take my turn, takes a straight line down the middle of the map to knock anyone in its way to the sides. This challenge might have been difficult, but 2 of the areas are single tiles that are very clearly the locations that they want you to stand to get knocked into the other areas. So all that's left is to figure out how to get to the final area. And that one's easy, as with a maxed out stomp jump range, Mario can jump off of the ally in one of the little squares and just land in that final space. 3-3 has 5 jumpers that we have to defeat in 2 turns. They do get to go first, but it's like not that difficult. I'm easily able to take out 3 of them on turn 1, and by magnet dancing them closer to where Mario is, and after Rabbid Yoshi dashes into 2 of the guys, Mario can finish off the last one. 3-4 is another level that has us defeating a bunch of enemies, but again, this one is very easy. This is because there are way more enemies on this map than 8. So with a few dashes from Rabbid Mario, and then a few more from Rabbid Yoshi, I can just kinda then kill the rest of them with my various weaponry. 3-5 is where things get a little tricky. We have to escort Toadette, and in the way are some bucklers, but more importantly, there are a few boos that teleport whatever character they latch onto down below the section. So to start this, I boost Rabbid, Peach, and Luigi with Mario, and then send both their sentries into the 3 bucklers at the end. Luigi's is close enough to hit on this turn, and Rabbid Peach's sets up close enough that it will hit the remaining bucklers on the next turn. While moving my characters into position, the boos attach to Luigi and Mario, and once I end my turn, they get teleported below. I then move Toadette towards the enemies a little bit, and on the next turn, the enemies mostly attack the sentry sitting right in front of them, but they don't have enough damage to kill it, so it kills them on the next turn. With the bucklers all dead, Toadette is in a much safer position, and is able to make it to the end in a few more turns. 3-6 also requires us to reach a bunch of areas. World 3 really likes the reach the area challenges. But again, as always, this one is very easy. Mario is the lowest speed character on the team, but he is still able to reach one of the areas immediately, allowing Luigi and Rabbid Yoshi to start moving towards the further ones. I'm also able to kill or stone literally every single enemy at the start. On the next turn, I move Luigi into the second zone, and Rabbid Yoshi just a bit closer to the final zone. Luigi dies during the enemy's next turn, but by using Rabbid Yoshi's outer shell, I was able to make sure that he blocked all the damage and was able to move into the final zone during the next turn. 3-7 is pretty spooky, as it has an instance of every mid-boss we have fought so far, meaning that there is a Parabid, Blizzy and Sandy, and Calavera. So I bring out the goats Rabbid Mario and Rabbid Peach. I start this one by having Mario boost the team, and then bouncing off of Calavera, putting him against this wall. Then Rabbid Mario does his whole dashing thing to kill a Hopper and sets up to Magnet Dance into a hammer combo. At this point, Rabbid Peach also sends a sentry after the supporter and Blizzy in the corner so that it will hit them next turn. On my next turn, I do some more damage and kill a couple of the mid-bosses, but Mario and Rabbid Peach both die at the same time. This leaves Rabbid Mario as the sole survivor, but as we know, he is the GOAT. So with only 3 enemies still alive, Rabbid Mario dashes into one of the lesser enemies to almost kill it, and then is able to get in range to do a hammer attack against Blizzy. Then our Chain Chomp pals take out the little guy and almost single-handedly take out the remaining buckler, and then I'm able to finish him off. 3-8 is another one of those hilariously easy levels that has a turn limit of 1. Because it's a turn limit of 1, they have to make it pretty easy to do stuff. I do have to think about what to do though, because the enemies go first with their 100% super chance, meaning that they ink all 3 of my teammates, making me unable to attack on my only turn. Thankfully, this doesn't actually matter all that much due to me having the cleansing jump. So after Luigi cleanses Rabbid Mario, he does what he does best. He runs around, dashes into enemies, and hammers anyone in his way. Mario similarly does the same thing, allowing us to finish the battle with basically no help from Luigi other than the one jump. In 3-9, I'm given 5 turns to defeat 9 enemies, but again, not difficult. I send Rabbid Yoshi up to fear the enemies towards each other, and then Rabbid Mario goes through the pipe to cross the map instantly. This allows him to Magnet Dance everyone together and kill 5 enemies with a single hammer. On the enemy's turn, they don't do all that much to cause me any amount of fear, and I'm able to have Rabbid Mario do his regularly scheduled dashing, and Rabbid Yoshi similarly follows, hitting a supporter and taking the transcontinental pipe to the other side of the map, finishing off the other. With just Calavera left, Mario and Rabbid Mario finish him off with their hammers. Finally, we have the last challenge of World 3, not including the specials. And this one is hard. This is an escort mission where Toadette starts on the opposite side of the map from us. We're given 15 turns to escort her across the map, but things do not look good for her. There's a Smasher on her heels and Ziggies everywhere. Toadette is in some serious danger. Now thankfully, Toadette is able to reach the pipe that is near her from the start, and the Smasher isn't able to reach the pipe, so she has a very big head start on this guy. But there are a lot of enemies around, and most of them are right on the edge of being able to attack Toadette after I move her. And since I'm currently on the other side of the planet from her, I'm kind of unable to get her out of the situation at the moment. She's just gotta survive on her own, which is gonna be really hard when these guys get to shoot through the ground. This game is supposed to have a whole line of sight thing where you can't shoot someone if your character wouldn't be able to see them, but sometimes it just doesn't work. So Toadette takes a random hit that she probably shouldn't have. But after using my first turn to defeat some of the enemies near my team, I then use my second turn to move them closer to Toadette, putting her in a corner that puts her out of range of any melee attacks and also unable to be hit by any ranged attacks. None of the enemies can hit her this turn, so after they move to try to close the gap, it comes back around to my turn, and I send Toadette through the pipe to just keep her away from all the enemies. There is an enemy that's about to spawn next to her, but that is alright. Rabbid Yoshi runs through a pipe and hits an incredible crit to kill all of the enemies that had been chasing Toadette. After the guy next to Toadette spawns, he shoots her and dashes into her, and then another Ziggy shoots her as well. Then a Smasher that just spawned also hits her, bringing her down to 119 health. This is very scary. Looking back at the footage, I absolutely should have just used Mario to jump off the Smasher and kill him, but I didn't. Instead, I used Rabbid Mario to dash into some of the enemies. And then I have him kill the rabbit that is behind Toadette through the pipe. After this turn, a few bucklers spawn in, which are always scary due to their ability to honey my party. But after moving Rabbid Mario into a good spot, I can have Mario jump off of one of the bucklers to land behind them, and he decides to stare me down for some reason. Then I have him hammer the bucklers, and then move the rest of the team up to prepare for the 4 bucklers that spawn near the goal. One side has 1 buckler while the other has 3, so I'm definitely choosing the side that has less. Unfortunately, after sending Rabbid Yoshi through the pipe, he gets one-shot by the buckler that spawns. But I am able to kill that buckler on my next turn with Rabbid Mario. Then I send Mario in as well, and I don't know why I did that. He immediately dies to the next buckler that spawns, so only Rabbid Mario is remaining again. But I can play this slow because I still have 9 remaining turns. With that in mind, I move backwards to drag the enemies forward a bit, which allows me to dash into both the buckler and the supporter. Except I accidentally hit Toadette with a dash. Okay, so Toadette has 49 health now. Anything will kill her at this point. Thankfully, for some reason, the 4 bucklers that are now down the other possible path towards the goal are kind of just sitting in a corner. Like, they just keep ramming into an invisible wall instead of coming towards me. It's like they don't know that pipes exist. So because of that, after defeating the remaining supporter, I kind of just moved Toadette towards the goal. And thankfully, the buckler that spawns behind Toadette is just barely not able to reach the pipe with its movement, meaning she is completely safe and can reach the goal in the next 2 turns. This means I was able to do this on my first try, which was very shocking. Now onto 3-Secret 1, and it's one of my favorite challenges in this entire game. Enemies go first in this one, and at the start of the battle, a buckler comes through the pipe, gives himself a 100% super chance, as well as a hopper nearby, and both of them honey all 3 of my party members. This wouldn't be so bad, except for the fact that this is a 1-turn challenge, and now I am unable to move on my only turn. This sucks because I have to kill every enemy in this one. I considered using a combo like Peach and Luigi to just hit the enemies with sentries, but the enemies are too spread out to allow that to happen. This would be easily possible if I had the ability to use guns and Hero Sight, as I would still be able to attack the enemies on their turn to finish off whatever enemies I couldn't kill with sentries. But without being able to use guns or Hero Sight, I'm kind of up a creek. But with some really outside of the box thinking, I'm able to figure this one out. Now this does take a very small amount of RNG, but it's only a single bit of RNG, so don't worry about it. At the start, the buckler gets pretty close to 2 of my party members to hit them with the honey, which allows Luigi to be close enough to the buckler to send his sentry through a pipe to explode on it. But wait, my team is in range of the explosion. That's not good. Ha! Subverted your expectations. I want my team to get hit here. This is because super effects override each other. So by having Luigi hit his own teammates with the bounce super effect, it causes them to launch away and get out of the honey. Now, Mario does end up dying here because one of the enemies had their villain sight active and shot him out of the sky, but this was really to make sure that Rabbid Mario stayed alive. And as we all know, Rabbid Mario is insane. With the amount of pipes where the enemies are, Rabbid Mario can dash into 3 of the enemies, causing explosions each time to kill most of them. And then he can magnet dance all the remaining enemies to kill them with his hammer. So onto 3-Secret 2. And this challenge was probably the hardest level in the entire game. I had decided to do things a bit differently for the World 3 challenges and did them prior to beating World 4. Well, all of them, except 3-Secret 2. I spent about 30 minutes on this challenge during my first stream of it, and over the course of about 7 attempts, I ended up deciding to just finish Chapter 4 before completing this challenge. And then after I did that, you want to know how long it took me to finish this challenge? At least another 2 hours. So this level has now become, and I believe stays, the longest amount of time I spend on a single level in this entire game, including the ultimate challenges, which as a reminder will be its own video after this one. So to save you from having to go through the pain that I did, I won't be showing you any amount of the previous attempts, as I haven't before, but just know that this final attempt took 25 minutes. This level is an 8-turn challenge which requires you to kill 82 enemies in these 8 turns. This is the 3rd highest kill requirement in the game, only behind 1 challenge in World 4 and 1 of the ultimate challenges. After a few failed attempts using other party members, I realized that this challenge is not a challenge about how quickly I can kill all the enemies. Truly, it's a battle of attrition. Can I live long enough to kill enough of the constantly spawning enemies before they're able to kill me? Now you may think that Rabbid Luigi would be good here, as his Vamp Dash is incredibly useful in certain battles of attrition, as it is the strongest healing method in the game when used correctly. The issue is that Rabbid Luigi has the 2nd lowest health in the game, only ahead of regular Luigi. And with the large number of enemies that spawn, it is very easy for the enemies to just kill Rabbid Luigi from full health in a single turn. Because of this, there are only 2 possible options for which party members I can use, Rabbid Peach and Rabbid Yoshi. These 2 have the best shields in the game, while also having some of the highest health in the game. This makes them incredibly good in combination with Rabbid Peach's heal ability, which heals based on max health. So with my team selected, I begin the battle. I start by hiding Rabbid Peach and Rabbid Yoshi behind these 2 pipes, which are unbreakable cover. And as we know, small enemies don't like to attack without cover, meaning that there is no good place for the Ziggies and Hoppers to get an angle on these 2. I then put Mario behind another block and boost the damage of my allies with a maxed out M power, giving a 70% damage boost. This allows Rabbid Peach's sentry to one-shot one of the Valkyries in the distance. These Valkyries are one of the worst enemies in this level, as their ground pound jump allows them to break a lot of the cover that I want to use. Then Rabbid Yoshi is able to shoot his Granaduck at some more of the enemies, killing a buckler. With the current position of my team, they are also just out of range of the nearby Smasher. So after the enemies run up a bit closer to my team, and when it comes back around to my turn, I'm able to dash into them with all of my team members to kill all of the nearby enemies except for 1 Valkyrie. But with no other nearby enemies, she has no one to jump off of to deal damage to us, meaning that we are safe for yet another turn. More enemies spawn and try to fire at us, but with our unbreakable pipes in the way, they are still unable to hurt us in any way. So after boosting my party with Mario again, I send Peach's sentry in to kill 2 more enemies, one of which being a Valkyrie that decided to try to block for its teammates. I then send Rabbid Mario to the same area to kill some more guys, giving myself an outer shell to not take damage from my melee range Grenaduck attack. I then meant to have Peach dash into a bunch of enemies, but I accidentally misclicked and instead just stand next to the Valkyrie. Because of this, I have to instead use Mario to kill that Valkyrie to set up to kill the bucklers with Mario's hammer. Except, I forgot the whole thing about these guys holding their own cover until literally the moment Mario was in the air. This sucks because I put Mario in front of the buckler's shield, meaning I can't hammer him because there's a shield in the way. If I put him in between them, I could have killed them both, but they both just get to survive this turn now. With Peach and Mario now out in the open, so many enemies can now hit my team. But I was smart and gave Peach her shield, making her take 80% less damage this turn. She could have taken the equivalent of 2500 damage and still been okay. And while Mario does not have that same power, the buckler in front of him is not a honey buckler, instead it's a push buckler. So when it does its guaranteed super effect, it pushes Mario back and out of range of literally everyone, keeping him safe for the rest of the turn. This allows me to bring Rabbid Yoshi back together with the rest of the team, dashing into a ton of enemies on the way back. With my team back together, I could use Rabbid Peach to heal my team, but with them each at about 70% health, it kinda feels like a waste to use it on this turn. So I wait. Oh wait, never mind. Looking back, I just forgot. Oops. Rabbid Yoshi gets hit a ton of times and is knocked off the edge, but both Rabbid Yoshi and Mario live on less than 30 health. So after it comes back around to my turn, I stand right in between the two so that Rabbid Peach can heal. I am also able to empower everyone with Mario in this position as well. This allows me to kill one of the hoppers, and then Rabbid Yoshi hits Calavera with his Grenaduck. Now, Peach is in range of this, and you may be worried that I could have accidentally hit Peach with the stone super effect from Rabbid Yoshi, but that's actually not possible. This is because explosions that hit cover are unable to super effect. So I'm able to do a bunch of damage to Calavera, heal all my health back up, and then kill him with Mario's boosted hammer. This puts us back to the enemy's turn, where 6 Ziggies spawn around me, but they attack in a way that doesn't cause anyone to die. I start my next turn by shielding Peach and then sending her around to dash into every enemy she possibly can. With her shield up, she tanks every villain site easily, allowing Rabbid Yoshi to clean up the stragglers on the lower level, and then use the pipes down the side of the map to hit the top enemies, and then he runs all the way to the other side of the map. This allows him to be safe from the enemies, but also allows him to make the trek back to the other side if needed. Nothing really happens on the enemy's turn, so I have Mario jump on the Smasher and then have Rabbid Peach dash into the same Smasher and make a similar run as Rabbid Yoshi, dashing into 3 enemies along the way and putting her in range of one of the final enemies. Then I have Rabbid Yoshi break the shield of the Hopper, make another cross-country trek to kill the Smasher, and then grenade the supporter that's with Peach. Then, with its shield down, Peach is able to kill the Hopper with her sentry. This finally gets us through 3-Secret 2 and allows us to move on to World 4. And a lot of these levels are shockingly easy. The first level requires us to kill every enemy and puts all of my party on different parts of the map. Rabbid Mario does what he always does and destroys all the nearby enemies by dashing, magnet dancing, and hammering them. Then Rabbid Yoshi dashes into enemies and hits them with the Grenaduck, which just happens to turn them to stone, which is always nice. This leaves only a single supporter and 2 Valkyries not stoned, but they don't really do anything on their turn. So I have Rabbid Yoshi and Rabbid Mario go and do their dashing, leaving 3 enemies alive. One of the boos grabbed a Valkyrie and moved her closer to Mario, which allows him to kill her with his hammer, and similarly, Rabbid Yoshi does the same and kills a Valkyrie with his grenade. Then Rabbid Mario is able to finish the remaining 2 with dashes and a hammer. Okay, I may have lied about the challenges being easy. While this chapter does have a couple of the easiest challenges in this entire game, this next one is pretty difficult. This version changes so much. Now, it's a spawny escort mission, meaning that I have to safely bring the little guy to the opposite side of the map. On top of this, instead of starting anywhere near Spawny, we not only start far away from him, but we literally start on an island nowhere near Spawny. This sucks without guns because they kinda intend you to shoot down from above to kill all the enemies that are trying to get to Spawny, and I obviously can't do that. So to do this level, I use Luigi, Rabbid Peach, and obviously Mario's there too. With Mario, I'm able to take out all 3 of the enemies up with us, But at this point, you may be wondering what I can do at this point to help Spawny. Obviously, Luigi and Rabbid Peach's sentries can't traverse the chasm, and Mario's hammer isn't much help either. But with Rabbid Peach and Luigi's team jump maxed out, they are both able to team jump to the area with Spawny from across the chasm. This allows Peach to use her sentry to kill a buckler, and Luigi can almost kill another buckler. Finally, with Spawny, I have to make sure he always moves as far as possible, as he has 4 smashers on his tail. Thankfully, he has 1 more movement range than these smashers, so as long as he moves the max distance, he can stay out of range. I take a turn to kinda just hang out due to having to wait for sentry cooldowns, and then the bucklers ink both Rabbid Peach and Luigi. But this is fine as I have cleansing jump on both of them. So I jump off of Rabbid Peach to cleanse her, and then dash into the 3 bucklers, and then bomb 2 of them with the sentry, basically killing Peach in the process. But with Luigi near Spawny now, he is able to give Spawny the itchy feet buff to move him even faster. So after helping Spawny along, Luigi can use a sentry of his own to go after the final buckler. There's absolutely no reason to ever go after the smashers because they literally can't catch up to Spawny, so I just don't attack them at all. If anything, attacking them would make them get closer to Spawny because they move after they get hit. So after hitting a buckler with a sentry, I continue to move Spawny behind different pieces of cover to keep him safe from him. And so, the buckler is at a low enough health for me to kill him with Luigi's dash, and with him dead, there are no more threats that can reach Spawny, thus allowing me to just walk him to the end of the level over the next few turns. 4-3 looks difficult at first glance, requiring me to kill 4 mid-bosses, all of which being Blizzies who are out of range at the moment. Well, out of range for someone like Mario, but they're absolutely in range of Yoshi and Rabbid Luigi's bazookas, which aren't guns, for sure in this challenge at least. We had a whole discussion about this in my last stream of this game, but you don't get to see that till the next video. Anyway, with both Yoshi and Rabbid Luigi boosted with 100% supercharge and an M-Power, they are both able to one-shot a Blizzy each. On the next turn, I'm able to use a combination of team jumps to reach the remaining 2 Blizzies with Mario, and I kill them with a stomp and a hammer. 4-4 required a few attempts to beat. I start by using Itchy Feet to boost Rabbid Mario's movement speed, allowing him to reach the pipe, and he kills 2 enemies. He does pick up a Boo along the way, which teleports him at the end of my turn. Then Luigi kills a Smasher with a crit, and I move him up towards a Smasher. Mario can then go in and kill the Smasher before it hits Luigi. The Boo then teleports Rabbid Mario, and everyone and their mom goes after him, but he's able to live on 55 health. So after making sure that Rabbid Luigi won't get hit by someone's villain sight while he sets up, Mario is able to go in, boost Rabbid Mario, and Rabbid Mario is able to Magnet Dance, and as always, one-shot everyone with a hammer. After all those enemies go, there isn't much else they can do, so I can just kill them in the next few turns. 4-5 is another one-turn reach the area level, and at first glance, it looks like this one is actually going to require some kind of strategy other than just having Luigi sprint through it. I mean, overall I spent 10 minutes on this level, which is more than just about any reach the area mission prior. But in the end, I realized I had been making it way more complicated than it was. I first used Luigi's sentry to go after a smasher, and while this seems unnecessary at first glance, this is very important. Then by using Luigi's Itchy Feet, Rabbid Yoshi is able to run into this corner of the first area. This puts him close enough to another one of the goals for Luigi to team jump to another postal code to reach it. And finally, because of Luigi's sentry's explosion, it caused the glass cover in the middle of the map to break. This allows Mario to simply walk to the final area using his boosted movement speed. It was very simple once I realized how easy it was. Now, 4-6 is quite literally the easiest level in the entire game, and it's also easily the funniest. This level gives us one turn to defeat every enemy on the screen. And you know what each enemy is? Every single one is a 50 health Garden Ziggy, the first enemy in the game, and just about every one of them is grouped up alongside like 8 other Ziggies. So let me just show you what happens for this level. I don't even need to explain it. This level was considered hard, by the way. 4-7 looks kinda rough at first, but Rabbid Mario is our goat as always, dashing into a bunch of enemies, magnet dancing, and hammering away. Then Mario does something similar and kills literally every other enemy on the screen. Oh yeah, this is an escort mission by the way, so now that everyone is dead on turn 1, I can kinda just walk him to the end. 4-8 is also a super hard level. We have to kill 10 enemies in 10 turns. Way too many turns for this. Well, actually, it's probably just about the right amount. Turn 1, I boost my team with Mario and send Luigi on a death mission to kill 2 of the enemies up top. Then Rabbid Mario can magnet dance every enemy on the field, allowing Mario to kill the final buckler from the top section. Then Rabbid Mario is able to attack and kill the remaining 2 bucklers on the screen. With 5 enemies dead and none currently on the field, other than getting bit by a chain chomp, this gives me time to set up against the 6 bucklers that are about to spawn. These bucklers can collectively one turn kill any of my party members, so I have to be extra careful. I move all of my allies to places that keep me from taking too much damage. Except Luigi takes a lot of hits and dies, while Rabbid Mario also takes a lot of damage, but lives. I send Rabbid Mario up and get a crit to heal off the enemies that I just Magnet Danced. Unfortunately, the enemies are then able to kill Mario on this next turn, leaving Rabbid Mario completely alone with nothing other than dashing available right now. So I use that to kill 2 of the enemies in the top area and move Rabbid Mario to a spot where he is behind cover. And thankfully, even though this turned out to be a hidden super block, only one of the 3 remaining enemies is able to hit it, meaning that it doesn't explode on me. And so, I'm able to kill the buckler with me, and then can run away for 2 turns, and then Magnet Dance to be able to hammer both of the remaining guys. Now, 4-9 was a bit more annoying to figure out, and honestly I don't even know how I went about doing this one. It's a reach the area mission that I have a single turn to complete, so I start by moving Rabbid Yoshi into one of the close areas. Then I move Mario into this spot and have Luigi bounce off of Mario to reach the second area. And honestly, I didn't mean for Mario to get to the final zone in the way that he did, but there's a tornado on this map, and the tornado was able to hit Mario, bounce him off the top of a pipe, into the abyss, and then he respawned in the final area. It was a happy accident, I did not mean to do that. Now the final challenge before the special challenges of World 4 is 4-10, the Battle Royale. This level has 30 enemies that I have to defeat in 18 turns, and they slowly spawn in over the course of those 18 turns. Now, with this being a huge battle, and with this video already being so long, I'm gonna try to give you the abridged version. Rabbid Luigi ends up being really good in this one, as the fight is a slow burn of enemies coming at me instead of a bunch of enemies all at once, so there's almost never so many enemies that he can get one shot. Turn 1 has a single Ziggy, which allows us to prep for future turns. I move all of my allies towards the middle to keep them out of range of the 4 smashers that spawn. I get hit by one of them, but can use Rabbid Luigi to vamp dash into 2 of them, allowing my team to heal. Then Rabbid Mario finishes them off. On the next turn, 4 more smashers spawn, and I hit some nice movement with Mario to be able to hit a few enemies and kill one with a hammer. Then Rabbid Mario dashes around, ending far away. Finally, Rabbid Luigi rockets another smasher. Mario does take some heavy damage from the newly spawned bucklers, but I can continue to use Rabbid Luigi to sustain my team by applying the vamp status. He also helps a lot by weakening enemies by 70% every couple turns. So after Magnet Dancing the enemies together, Mario is able to heal up. Rabbid Mario continues to do what he does best and stays down at the bottom to kill another buckler. On the enemy's turn, they kinda just don't get to do damage due to Rabbid Luigi's weaken. He then uses his bazooka to bring some of the enemies closer, and then dashes into 2 of them to give the vamp status. With all of the enemies close to each other, Rabbid Mario is able to dash into a few of them and kills all but a single Valkyrie. But Mario is able to stomp on her and land near the upcoming peekaboos. After the enemies go, we start to see the endgame of this challenge, as a Parabbid shows itself. Rabbid Luigi continues to be great with his weaken, and while Rabbid Mario is unable to get in range to kill the peekaboo next to Rabbid Luigi, he is able to use his Magnet Dance to pull the peekaboos into range of the raining fireballs. Rabbid Mario barely survives the next turn, but it's looking dicey. Rabbid Luigi is not in range of any of the enemies to be able to apply Vamp to them, but he is able to use his bazooka to deal almost all the damage needed to kill the Parabbid. And something I discovered during this level is that Rabbid Mario has this weird thing where he kind of just hits the crit when he needs to hit the crit. So Rabbid Mario lands next to the Parabbid and a Ziggy and hits the crit, healing to almost full health. At this point, Sandy and Blizzy spawn in, and I realize that every Rabbid mid-boss is going to spawn. Rabbid Luigi is able to dash into both Sandy and Blizzy, and while the dash doesn't deal damage to Sandy, it does still apply the Vamp debuff. So this allows Mario and Rabbid Mario to heal a lot this turn. None of my weapons are available though, but I am able to heal my team almost completely with just movement attacks. On the enemy's turn, Calavera spawns and my team almost dies, but since they don't die, I am able to heal up using Rabbid Luigi again. Mario is able to heal some off of a dash and kill a Valkyrie. On the next turn, Waluigi spawns. He is able to hit Rabbid Luigi, but that is perfectly fine. I'm able to Magnet Dance with Rabbid Mario to bring the enemy somewhat nearby and boost him with Mario. Rabbid Mario hits the crit again, which allows Mario to kill Calavera with a stomp and heal off of the Vamp from Rabbid Mario in the process. Waluigi Magnet Dances my team as Wario spawns, but in doing this, he attacks Rabbid Mario, landing a crit which honeys him, but also Wario, and now Wario is fully stuck. This allows Rabbid Mario to dash into both of them, and Mario can get a huge heal off of the 2 of them, healing to full while killing them. Finally, we have the Lava Queen all alone. But with all three of my party alive and Rabbid Luigi able to weaken her, I can kinda just not take damage and then dash into her with everyone, finishing her off with Mario. Oh, but wait, there's one more enemy. The scariest of them all. It's the Ziggy with an extra life. The Garden Ziggy from the very start of the battle is back. But like, I don't want to kill this guy. He's a homie. Because like, even after I try to lock him in, I realize that he has the ability to dash through my team and like get out. But he decides to dash into Rabbid Mario and then just go back to leaning against this wall. So after hanging out for a couple of turns, I finally take him out. Finally, we have the two remaining secret challenges. The first challenge required me to equip lower damage weapons, as I have something I have only had to do one other time. This is a Spawny escort mission, requiring us to get him to the other side of a pit in a single turn. I start by guaranteeing super effects by using Yoshi, and then put Yoshi in a spot to hit two of the smashers with his bazooka. Then I'm able to heal Spawny with Peach, and move Spawny to the edge of the cliff. Mario can then jump next to the smasher, who is currently 3 tiles away from Spawny, and hit him with a hammer with a 3-hex explosion. With the guaranteed super effects, Mario hits a bounce and launches Spawny all the way across the gap, ending the level. Finally, we have 4-Secret 2. This level requires us to step into 16 areas over the course of 15 turns. And if you do the quick math in your head, if I put all 3 of my party members on a spot on my turn, that only comes out to 15 spots possible to land on. This means I somehow have to get into a spot on the enemy's turn at least once. And this genuinely involves one of the craziest runs of luck I have ever had. Like, ever. Because I literally do not care about dealing damage for this fight, I bring Rabbid Peach and regular Peach. This is like the 3rd or 4th time that Peach has entered a battle in this entire game. But here, it's good, because it's a true battle of attrition. A 20% heal every turn alongside the 70% heal every 2 turns with Rabbid Peach is almost always enough to keep me alive. And because I don't actually have to kill anyone, it doesn't matter that Peach has really low damage. Every single area I need to reach has a meteor spot on it, meaning that there is always a chance that the spot will cause my party member on it to get burned and run somewhere random. So on my first turn, I move my party members into 3 spots that are kind of in the middle of the map with a bunch of other areas around them. This allows them to have a pretty good chance to run into one of these other areas on the Pyroclast's turn. And after my turn, exactly that happens. Mario gets burned and runs into another zone. Then, Waluigi runs up and magnet dances, causing Mario to land in another zone. Man, Mario just hit 3 in 1 turn. Now we just have to average like right under 3 for the rest of the fight and we've got this. This is easier said than done, however, as Waluigi has the ability to honey my team. This is very difficult to deal with, but after Waluigi honeys both Peach and Mario, Rabbid Peach is able to still come in and cleanse Mario while landing in a new space. And Mario can do the same by jumping off of Peach, healing both her and Rabbid Peach in the process. Now, something I forgot to mention is that the enemies have 100% super chance, meaning that if we are ever near Waluigi, it is extra bad. Some unfortunate burns and magnet dances from Bowser Jr. and Waluigi puts Mario and Peach really far away from the zones that I need to reach. With that in mind, I taunt Bowser Jr. over towards Rabbid Peach with a sentry, and after Mario jumps off of Waluigi's head to barely reach a zone, Peach hits the craziest RNG check that I have ever experienced in my life. I've basically given up on Mario at this point, as he is in the middle of every single enemy, which all but guarantees his death on the next turn. But I decide that after boosting Peach and Mario's attack, I should just throw a Grenaduck at the Lava Queen and Wario to deal some damage to maybe save this run. And so, with both of them standing against burned super blocks, this guarantees that they get burned, but as they are ranged units, no matter how far away they run, they will still be able to reach and destroy Mario. So Mario's gonna die, and this run is as good as dead. Except both of them run exactly in range of Mario, where he is then able to kill them both with his hammer. Now I need to explain just how insane this is. Burn as an effect forces your character to move like 15 to 20 tiles in random directions. I don't know the exact numbers, but that's like a give or take of what I've observed over my playthrough. This can allow you to move further than you normally would be able to. So let's put Mario, Wario, and the Lava Queen on a grid where they were at the time of this. With the burn, they could theoretically have moved to any of the spots inside of these circles, but one of the 2 landed in range of Mario to allow him to attack, with the other landing right next to them, allowing Mario to kill them both at the same time. Based on a very rough estimate, this is somewhere in the ballpark of around 1 in like 300,000 to 1 in 700,000 of a chance to happen. And while it didn't actually end up mattering, due to them being against burn blocks. Peach also hit a crit, which did more damage, and Mario also hit a crit, which technically would probably make this around a 1 in a million chance to happen. Now, there could absolutely be some reason that this happened that I'm not aware of, with some sort of inner working of how burn works, and it could have been much lower odds than I calculated. But I found zero documentation anywhere that would argue otherwise, so I'm just going to keep believing that it was a nice 1 in a million. Anyway, back to the fight. So this leaves us with 5 zones left that I need to reach. The Pyroclasts take their turn and cause Mario to get burned and sprint very far away from the remaining zones. This is bad, as with 5 zones left, I need to get 3 of them on at least one of the turns, and without Mario, this becomes much less likely. On top of that, Mario gets honeyed by Waluigi, making him unable to move closer to the rest of my team. Both Peach and Rabbid Peach are literally just out of range of Mario, because if they were in range, I would just be able to cleanse him, which would allow me to have an easy solution to the problem. So with nothing better to do, I move Peach and Rabbid Peach to a couple of the remaining zones, and I let the enemies take their turn again. With a 100% super chance, Waluigi again honeys Mario, basically permanently causing him to be stuck there. And with Bowser Jr.'s burn not putting Peach onto one of the remaining zones, I still have 3 zones to get to on the final turn. And so, when all hope felt lost, I have Peach throw one final grenade. And she hits the super, and Mario runs perfectly within range of one of the 3 remaining zones, allowing me to finish the level after one of the luckiest sequence of events I've ever been a part of. And so with that, every challenge of this game is finished. Well, except for the ultimate challenges. The ultimate challenges are a whole different story, but I'll save that for the next video. So thank you for watching, and be sure to watch that one when it comes out.